Hi, I'm Troy with Wildwood Guitars. Today I have the pleasure of playing and hanging out with John from Gibson. And he knows these E-Tune tuners better than anybody on the planet, probably.
Well, we try. And it's good to be here, Troy. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, man.
Absolutely.
Been a pleasure.
And it's great to have these new guitars here from Gibson USA.
Yeah, it is.
E-Tune's a fun thing to have on these guitars, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's fun. It's easy and it's quick, right?
It's very cool. Yep, I'm in open E and you're in standard.
Standard tuning, you know, and you know, one thing I like about, well, there's so many things to like about it, but I think we talked about how quick and easy it is, and I know that, you know, people tune their guitars, and we've been tuning it the archaic way for so many years, right?
Yeah.
You know, I remember back in the day we used to be able to tune our guitars manually. Now you just hit a button. What's up with that?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But I mean, it's so neat. I mean, right now I'm in standard tuning, and I'm just going to simply just check my tuning, and by pressing a button and doing a quick strum, we can just knock it out and check. And just like that, you're good to go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I like it. It's made my life easier, just from a player standpoint, a performance standpoint, a studio standpoint, and just it makes it so much easier to change strings. It can, you know, once you spool up the guitar string, it can actually wind it up for you, or detune all your strings to make string changes that much easier. There's so many different things. I know you've got a bunch of questions about it, so
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know, I was kind of skeptical at it at first because, like you, I've been playing since I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
You told me you've been playing since you were 12, and I'm 40,
right.
and you're going to be 40.
Yeah.
So for me, I usually don't even have a tuner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at a gig I do, but I use the phone dial. You know,
Mm-hmm.
cell phones don't have that dial tone, but that's an A, and I just tune it real quick, and I do it by ear. You know, even drop D, I can tune it in a few seconds. So why would somebody like me or you love the E-Tune system and have to have something like that?
You know, the E-Tune takes away so much time. For example, you and I were talking about tuning the guitar in fourths, right? Or tuning the guitar in dadgad. And yes, even players like ourselves that are so used to tuning our guitars, like, you're not a guitarist until you can really tune it by ear. Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
We can do it. But the fact of the matter is, in reality, it unlocks creative potential really quickly. Let's say you were songwriting or doing something. Hey, we want to try something different, maybe an alternate voicing, tuning in fourths or dadgad or an open G. Having it at, you know, at a moment's notice really helps unlock that potential and gets that note, gets those lyrics and that melody down so much quicker, because by the time inspiration hits, it could already be gone in a matter of seconds. So it's important to just get that out there. Now, in a live situation, maybe you're playing with a short board, right? Every bit of real estate on that board counts. So not having a tuner in there is definitely a help. And when you're, let's say you've got a wireless system, or you're on the other side of the stage, you don't want to get back to your rack tuner, depending on your setup. You can be on the other side of the stage and just tune your guitar like that. Or if you're in the studio, simply checking tuning and not reverting back to your rack tuner or what have you. Just bang, you're good to go. And of course, the ease of changing strings, right?
Yeah.
So as a pro, it's fun to have because it just unlocks that creative potential. You're easy to get from one tuning to another. But then how about live? Another aspect is you're not hearing your singer tell horrible jokes while you're tuning and you're doing this. You know, all of a sudden you're waiting and you're tuning. The band or your drummer, like a knucklehead, is already knocked off, you know, kicked off the song, and you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs and you're like, oh wait, you know. So it's accurate. You can get it down really quickly, move from tuning to tuning, and not listen to a bunch of really bad jokes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it does help, you know. And you really, you know, of course you can still tune it manually without having to turn it on.
Yep.
It's there if you need it. It's kind of like cruise control on your car, right? Or power steering. I like it to power steering. You and I both know, because we came up in the same era, right? That, you know, my first car was a 1979 Chevette, and I used to drive that thing without power steering, and it was really difficult. But when I got it, it's kind of like a given. Oh, it's great. Why didn't I have this all along, right?
Yeah.
So now you have the same thing. You can still tune it manually, no problem. But now you have this advent of quick and easy tuning. It's a plug and play situation. So now your keyboard player is good to go. He plugs into his amp, you're good to go. The bass player, of course, your 4 or 5 strings, he's good to go, pretty much. Your drummer's ready. Why can't you be ready? So that's the whole beauty of the eTune that I love.
Yeah, it's cool. It's not neck heavy.
No.
I mean, all SGs are somewhat neck heavy, you know, to a point. You put a strap on it and hold it and play it. And it's not neck heavy anymore, but the tuners don't add a lot of weight to it. And I asked you earlier, and you said that if you did want to put other tuners on it, you could.
Absolutely.
For whatever reason that you want to do.
Right. Or if you just want to replace it, you know. I mean, these tuners are made of lightweight aircraft-grade aluminum. So they're very resilient, 4:1 gear ratio tuning, if I'm not mistaken. So they're very accurate, you know, very smooth and moving. And yes, when you tune it manually, you'll hear a little bit of those servos moving, but have no fear, you still tune it manually. And they're actually lighter than a set of, you know, Grover locking tuners. So resilient, very good weight balance, like you said, and it doesn't detract from the beauty of the instrument at all. In fact, if you look at it head on, you can't even really tell that it is an eTune equipped guitar. But of course, in 2014, all the newer models have eTune put on that, so that you can quickly identify, oh, it's there. But of course, you can always get another truss rod cover, and if you don't want it on there, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've had some customers call me, and they said, with the tuners, they said, well, it's tuning all the time. Is that going to cut into the nut more? And I thought, no, because you're tuning your guitar all the time and stretching the strings. It's the same thing. It's just doing it for you.
Exactly.
So there are some concerns that people are having with these, but everything that they're concerned about it's the same thing as just tuning it yourself, really. But it's faster, convenient for some people.
Right.
Do a lot of cool open tunings. It's hard to remember all the open tuning, especially in a live situation. It's like remembering lyrics.
Right.
You don't always remember them all the time, and you kind of fudge that sometimes. So it's the same thing. You're not remembering all the things because you're trying to entertain, and the lights are on you, and people are,
right.
You know, there's a lot going on. So it's really cool for that.
And, you know, it's got a Graphtec nut, you know, so you've got extra added tone and a really solid nut on these guitars. Not to mention the fact that, you know, you can program your own tunings in your Blue Bank, because, you know, you've got, you know, 6 different slots in 3 different preset modes that you have. So you've got 6 in the red bank, 6 in the green bank, and 6 more in the blue bank that you can program your own. So you really can program your own tunings just to go, you know, really quickly on the blue bank, so you don't have to mess around with what means what. You can make it up, you know, you can make up your own tunings, and that's great. And it's easy to do too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it is easy. It's great.
So here, let's show you how the Min-ETune works. I've flipped the Les Paul Standard around. You can see this cluster of buttons right here on the back. This bottom right-hand corner is a power button. You turn it on, and as you turn it on, it'll simply refresh to the last known tuning, which was E standard. So you just give it a quick strum. You can see it getting close. Mute the strings quickly. Give that last string a quick pluck, and then it turns itself off. Now, to select between different tunings and different banks, let's turn it on once again. Turn it on. Now, I can hit the power button one more time, and now that allows me to select the different tunings in the red bank. Up and down buttons will let you select the different banks. This is the green bank of alternate open tunings, and your custom tunings that you program yourself in the blue bank. So let's go ahead and select the next tuning in the slot, which is the ALED, which stands for DADGAD in this particular case. We'll then hit the center button, which is enter. And the guitar will get close to the approximation tuning. Now you'll do a fine tuning by just simply strumming it. Do a quick mute, and then the red strings will show you which ones need further refinement there. And in a matter of seconds, you're done. Now, it's important, like anything else, to go ahead and let the guitar strings stretch. And I suggest that you go ahead and stretch the guitar strings manually, and then go through each of the individual tunings that are available in the preset banks. That way, your guitar knows exactly you know, how much it needs to wind the particular strings, and just slowly go over that. After going through that maybe a couple times, it'll then learn how quick it needs to turn, and then will actually increase speed as it tunes up. So stretch the guitar strings out and then go through the different paces, and then it'll learn. And it's important too that you let it tune the entire cycle instead of instead of just fretting notes, you know, letting it go ahead and tune I guess open strings at the same time. You know, that's the beauty about this particular E-tune system, is the fact that it tunes all the strings simultaneously, right? That way you don't have to continually check tuning, because as you tune one at a time, things tend to shift a little bit in terms of the tension and the neck bow angle and all that good stuff. Yep. So having it all done at the same time really does help. So here we have all the different tunings in the red bank. Once again, turn the system on and then hit the on button again, and then use the joypad here to move left or right to select your particular tunings in that bank. So here in the red bank you have standard E tuning, you have dadgad, low D tuning, drop D, E flat, and double drop D. As you move down, you go into the green bank now, you can move the different slots here. You have open E, open A, open D, open G, dobro tuning, and tuning, nice jazzy all fourths tuning there. And then in the blue bank, you can program your own tunings there as well. And then to turn it off, simply just hold down that power button and it turns itself off. So to tune the guitar in your custom settings, what you need to do is tune your guitar first to whatever your setting is. So let's say, for example, I want to go ahead and tune dadgad and save it into a blue slot. So I'm going to go ahead and tune it to dadgad. So I already have that set. Now, if you wanted to tune it to an open G or some really strange alternate tuning, you can use your guitar tuner and get it set to pitch perfect, whatever you want there. But then what you need to do is go into the custom menu to go ahead and save that tuning. So turn it on, hit the power button again, then tap up and hold it down for 3 seconds, and then it'll go into this white menu LED right here. Now you're going to select the A LED, then hit enter. Now it's going to ask you to play each individual string so that it'll record the tune, the different notes that are already you already have it tuned to. So go ahead and play that, and you can see as I play, it'll ask for the next string and it'll go from red to green. Now it'll ask you what slot of the blue bank you want to save it in. Let's go ahead and save it in the second slot. So move that direction pad over 1 and it'll flash blue, that A will flash blue, then hit enter. And then there you go, it'll flash green and that's already saved. So now when I power down this unit, I can go ahead and turn it on, hit that button again to select between the different banks, go to that blue bank, and then hit enter, and my custom tuning will be saved. And there's your saved custom tuning.
So Aljon, I know you have some great tips and tricks on these. Can you share them?
Sure, absolutely. You know, after playing with this now for a good year, it is so stable and cool, but I think a lot of people need to realize that strings do stretch. So the moment you get this out of the box from Wildwood, just make sure you go through and stretch the strings as manually as you can. You know, these are brand new guitars, so, you know, the typical good stretch would be just to go up and down the guitar string, you know, just like you would after you change a fresh set of strings. Just going down and making sure each individual string is stretched to its capacity, and that way you can bring it up to tension when you're tuning it. And do that several times, just as if you were you know, just changing your regular guitar strings. And something you and I were doing, just putting the guitar through its paces, is making sure all those wild bends, you know, we're just stretch it to its limit. It's something that we always do, just pro players do, just to make sure that the guitar is always going to be in tune, just stretching those strings to its max.
See, and you're doing the face.
You got to do the.
Yeah.
You got to do the guitar face. It has. You got to do it.
You have to do it.
You have to do it. It's almost a reflex action. So we do that. So you tune that up, and then go back through, and as I'm turning on the guitar system now, the eTune, I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to standard tuning. Now, it wasn't dadgad. You can see here that it's going to bring it back up to snuff. And then turn itself off. Cycle through each individual slot that you have to stretch the strings out and go down the line and go back down to E flat. You know. And it's going to ask you, you can see here, it's, you know, because this is still relatively new, it's going to ask you to tune that guitar string again. So it's going to ask you to tune those strings. I want to make sure the eTune system is kind of like Kit, you know, from Knight Rider. Michael, would you please tune this guitar string for me, because I need to get a really good basis. I need to know what ground zero is. So, you know, it's so intelligent. It's smarter than I am. It's crazy. So let's go ahead and let's do open G tuning, right? So let's bring it up. Muting the guitar strings is also a great thing. For example, you know, when I select a tuning, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn the unit on, select whatever tuning I want. Let's go back to standard, hit the enter button. And as I tune, I'm actually going to, you know, play the treble notes first, moving to the bass strings. Do a quick mute, check tuning. And I find it just works a lot better if I am able to strum from the treble side, so that the sensor can pick up on those treble notes a lot quicker, you know, than just simply strumming it like that. So that's a really quick, easy trick. So once again, stretch your guitar strings out, cycle it through the different presets, and strumming the guitar treble side first. You know, you don't have to do it very slow like I'm doing. You can just simply do it like that, and it'll work out just fine. The other thing too is, if you find that maybe a tuner isn't, you know, catching on, you also might want to make sure that the tuning, that particular screw there, that little washer or whatever that is, the little nut, that it's actually tight, holding this on, because literally that's what's holding the tuner on there, and it works by capturing those vibrations, because that Min-ETune system is actually right there by the headstock. So just a little troubleshooting tip: if you find that maybe a tuner isn't rotating, just make sure this is as tight as it possibly can be. We ship it very tight from Gibson USA, but you know, things do change and shift, especially when you're shipping to your customers in different areas of the world, the country, or whatnot. So by doing that, you know, you're pretty good to go after that. The other thing I do suggest too, and this is just me personally, but I always put lubrication on here. It just makes it glide a lot simpler. It is Graphtec, so the Graphtec nuts are really, really nice in that regard. But I always like to put a little lubricant on there, whether it's, you know, Big Ben's nut sauce, or you know, the GHS little graph whatever they call that stuff, you know.
Yeah. Or just number 2 pencil lead.
Number 2 pencil lead is work good. I mean, you know, a lot of guitar techs will do the whole Carmex and little pencil lead in there too. Yeah, to each your own. But yeah, the pencil lead does work in there too. And anything you can do to make it as smooth as possible is always welcome. Not necessarily needed, but once again, it's just a guitar tech in me that want to make sure it's as smooth as possible. The Min-ETune will allow for a bunch of different gauge strings and type of strings. We have a hybrid set here, skinny top, heavy bottom Gibson strings on here. But of course you can use coated strings. You can use 8s if you wanted to. You can go all the way to, gosh, what did I say? Go to maybe 13s. It does say in the manual, you know, it does suggest that you can go pretty low with those type of strings. Once again, always refer back to the manual for the latest updates and such. Just to make sure that your guitar can tune as well as it can possibly tune. Okay, so when we do the factory reset, what we want to do is go ahead and turn it on, hit the on button again, and then hold down for 3 seconds. Then you're going to get that aqua blue light. That means you then go to the G LED, and then you're going to hit enter. Now it's going to ask you whether you want to go ahead and remove all of your custom tunings, or if you go to A, reset everything, which to me, you might as well just reset everything, right? So what you want to do is hold the center button and the up button at the same time and hold it down. As you see the light scroll and return back to aqua, you've done a factory reset. So now you're good to go again. And then just simply turn it off by holding down that button.
Okay, so you want to talk about the accessories?
Absolutely. So the guitar comes with a lithium-ion polymer battery. It's you know, very small, looks like a little candy bar, but it comes with a Wildwood charger that I have right here. So you just simply plug this into the wall. It takes maybe 20-30 minutes to charge. You can see it here. The great thing about this Wildwood charger is that there's an LED. So it'll tell you if it's red that it needs to charge, and when it's fully charged, maybe about 20-30 minutes, it'll get a full charge. It'll turn green. So it's great for stage. You can see it. You can have that plugged into your little power strip or your power converter or whatever you've got. And then, of course, your power regulator. And then stick this in here, the very top. I don't know if you can see this. You put the battery in as so. It's spring-loaded. So you have that. It's good for 80 to 100 tunings. And when you turn the guitar on, there's a battery indicator right here. As you can see here, that light there says that it's got a nice close to 100% charge, if not 100% charge. It'll retain that green color, and the more you tune, it'll slowly start to deplete, of course, and it'll turn yellow and then into red, which means, hey man, you need to go ahead and tune it. Now, to have it tune quickly at the optimum level of tuning, you want to make sure that it's pretty much in the green all the time. But once again, if you're you don't have a tuner, you know, if you don't have that battery fully charged, just take it out, charge it up while you play, and you can tune it manually. A big whoop. And of course, in the guitar case itself, Troy, you've got in your hands, you've got the international converters for that, right?
Yep, the 220.
Yep.
And the regular 220, 221, whatever it takes.
Yeah, so you just, you know, obviously you plug that in there and you're good to go for all those overseas gigs you got. So that comes with it as well. And then at the very end, I guess the bottom of your guitar case, you have a quick start guide with all of the different codes for all the different presets in the red bank, as I've mentioned before, the green bank. And it'll even tell you, hey, look, you can use a little QR code on your smartphone if you're at a gig or something, you forget certain things, so that you can get your manual in PDF form. If you lose it or whatnot, you can always revert back to that. It's just gibson.com/Min-ETune, and you'll be able to download PDFs of the quick start guide here, which will show you how to use it. So it's double-sided. And then you can have the full instruction manual as well. So pretty quick and easy.
That's great.
I love it.
So restring.
Okay.
How would you restring something like this? Is it something that you need to take to attack, or it's something that easily done?
Easily done. Really simple. So the guitar strings are very simple. These locking nuts here, you can actually just take a quarter or a penny or something and just loosen them up like that and string your guitar up, and then go once underneath and once over. There's a little divide right here that you can see. And once you go underneath and go over and then through the slot, you can then tighten it down with that quarter and then clip off the excess, and you're good to go. In your manual that you download, that PDF, it'll actually show you detailed pictures of how it looks on the capstan itself. But it's relatively easy, only takes seconds. So to do string up and string down mode is really simple. All you have to do is turn it on, hit the on button again, and now hold up for about 3 seconds until that LED appears, that white E, then hit the enter button. Now you can do string up and string down. You can see here with the E string, I'm detuning it. Then you can move left or right, there to the A string, detune it. Basically just scroll down and detune everything. Or move to the particular string slot and then tune up. So you basically don't need any of those tools to wind the pegs. You can simply just do that. And then of course when you're done, just turn it, just hit the power button a couple times till you shift back, and then you can select between your different presets. So let's go back to standard, and of course now that I've messed up the tuning a little bit, it'll probably ask you once again to tune all the strings individually. See, right now it's getting its bearing. It's thinking, you replaced your guitar strings. I've got a fresh set of strings on, so I'm going to go ahead and get my bearings here and get close. So now I'm back into standard tuning. So really it's a very simple prospect, changing the guitar strings. They lock, the tuning stability's right there. For the wound strings, I would probably do one under, one over, and then tighten it and then cut it. And for the plain strings, I would do maybe a couple winds under and a couple winds over, just for added tuning stability. It's not necessary because they're locking tuners, but that's what I prefer to do.
That's great. You also mentioned earlier that the system will learn the user, as opposed to the user learning the system.
Right, absolutely. As you go back and forth between the tunings, let's say I go back and forth between standard and E flat a lot, maybe open G, just for all the cover songs that I'm doing, it'll just learn that much quicker. Once you go back and cycle through those tunings or make them part of your user preset bank and go back and forth, it'll actually get faster as you go back and forth between those tunings. So the slowest your Min-ETune system, your eTune system will be the day that you get it, because now it'll know. And of course, as you change guitar strings, once it gets that though, once it gets that ground zero basis, you're pretty much off to the races and you're good. So just as long as you stretch the strings and go back and forth and program your own tunings, you're good to go. But it's smart. It knows what it's doing, unlike me.
So what models do the eTune system come on the USA guitars?
Okay, well, pretty much all the popular models that you guys carry at Wildwood. You've got your SG Standard, you've got your SG14, Min-ETune. You've got the Futura models that all have them, also with the Les Paul style as well. And a few of our studios, we've got the Les Paul Signature, of course, the Les Paul Standard. So a lot of the popular models that we have will have eTune equipped guitars, and once again, all for an awesome price too. I mean, this technology is so affordable nowadays. So, whether you want it or want it as an option, I mean, it's there for you to have, So
it's great.
Very popular.
Now, when are the eTune systems going to become available to purchase for guitars that don't come with them?
Well, right now, you can purchase them through our technology partners at Tronical, and you can pick that up for a bunch of different guitars as well. So it is out there, and the technology is great. So definitely look into maybe getting these on some of your other guitars.
That's great. Thank you so much, Aljon. You've been a pleasure.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
And don't forget to pick up your guitar at Wildwood. These guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
No problem, man.